What's up, Infected, and welcome to the Quarantine. This is Kickstart Your Week. Now, if you're not familiar with what this is my weekly segment where I go over the previous week's Kickstarters that just came out, and I just talk about the ones I thought looked interesting. Now, there's no criteria or anything. It's a purely subjective thing. Did it catch my eye? Did I like the thumbnail? I watched the video. Did it sound interesting? Did it look interesting? Does it have good art? Stuff like that. It's just it's Kickstarters that caught my eye that I just want to kind of put out there just in case some people maybe don't know about them, or maybe if you're new to Kickstarter and looking for something to back. Now, if you like this style of show, I've been recently working with the Gamerati, which I'll have a link down in the description that'll take you directly over to their page. Now, the Gamerati is the only board game centric curators on Kickstarter. They're pretty cool guys. I do a weekly podcast with them a lot of the time where we all just get together, we all pick one Kickstarter that's recently come out, and we just talk about why we think it's awesome. And it's very similar to this show, but this show I talk about no more than 10, regardless of how many. And I will narrow it down to less if less caught my eye. Alright, so first up on my list is Temporal Odyssey. Now, this one is from Level 99 Games. David Talton, which is an awesome guy, I guess helped design the game, which is pretty sweet, and it's level 99. So that alone intrigues me. Now, you can't see on my shelf here, but on top of this shelf in the middle is nothing but level 99 game stuff. They probably are my favorite board game company, so that alone kind of made me, that was a shoe-in for this list. But it's also a very interesting drafting battle card game, which sounds really interesting. So it's a battling card game where you have your time traveler and then you have like a structure or something, and you're fighting with each other, and every time you die, you rewind time and come back to life. So you have to keep killing each other so many times until I guess the timekeeper lord gets annoyed that you keep destroying the time, the flow of time, and he comes and just banishes you, and then the other players declare the winner. So it's got a really interesting mechanic like that to it, and then the fact that you can pull cards from different timelines to use, and it's really, really cool. And then it has, of course, Level 99's signature artwork. Now, from what I understand, and from what I can tell, this does not take place in the Indians universe. It's kind of a new universe, from what I can tell. I could be wrong, but it's kind of, I don't recognize any of the characters, essentially. Next up is Jagged Alliance. Now, Jagged Alliance, I used to play the video game. I didn't play it a whole lot, but the video game was basically like a strategy RPG, and you were a little band of mercenaries trying to usually infiltrate like a tropical island, a Colombian drug lord, or something like that. You're accomplishing these missions, and that's basically what this is. But it's got a really cool intel system where the different tiles have, I guess, these cards on them that give you an idea of what's there, but it may not be entirely accurate, or maybe it is, but it doesn't tell you everything. So you got to kind of pick and choose your battles. Where do we want to go? If we go this way, there's a good chance this is going to happen, but what if it's bad intel or stuff like that? And from what I can tell, it's got a lot of replayability, and it's a modular board, so you probably are able to make your own missions as well. And then everything's just always different every time you play it, and I thought that looked really, really neat. The next up is Medieval. Now, Medieval looks like Risk, but with politics, religion, and the Crusades, essentially. And this one seemed really neat because not only are you all fighting and trying to gain the favor of the Pope and use him for your crusade, and then maybe call a jihad on somebody if you're one of the Middle Eastern countries, and you're all inner fighting and just all of this chaos and politics. All the while, the Mongols are pushing in from the east, and you're also trying to keep them at bay so you can, you guys could do your thing. And I just thought that was a really, really cool mechanic. And from what I could tell from the reviews anyways, it seems to be a really good catch-up mechanic. So if you're falling behind, you're like Risk. If you're falling behind, you're staying behind, essentially. Unless you get really lucky. Whereas this supposedly has a really cool catch-up mechanic. Don't really know what it was. I couldn't really find it out. I didn't have a lot of time to dig deep, but several of the reviews had mentioned a good catch-up mechanic. Next up is Badlands, Outpost of Humanity. Now, this one's a post-apocalyptic Mad Max style vehicle combat game. And there's a lot of these coming out, but this one looks really interesting. I got the impression of a little bit of worker placement as well, but I'm not really sure about that. But you not only do you have these vehicle combat where you're racing around these fields trying to go from one location to the other and trying to get what you have to get done, you also have a convoy that you're having to take into like this main city and protect it on the way there. So then when it comes back, you also got to protect that there because you only have the one convoy, and it looks really interesting. A lot of the reviews are saying that it has constant player interaction, which I could definitely see that in this style of game. On top of that, the artwork, is lots of reds, lots of vibrant, rust and sand and dirt, and it definitely gives that feel of like a Mad Max. The world is ending, everything sucks, and cars are the one thing that's keeping the civilization and society alive. And I personally love the post-apocalyptic feel of pretty much any post-apocalyptic game. Then we have Monsterlands. Now this one is a worker placement but with dice. So from what I can tell, you're going to roll these dice and they're all different colors, and you're going to spend these dice on different actions, and I guess the numbers that are on them, you get they're better at different actions depending on what you're using them on, and you're trying to collect all these resources to make gear and then fight monsters so you can collect resources to use for other things as well. It's got really cute artwork. I definitely get the impression of a family weight little game, but overall the artwork is really good, and that worker placement with dice seems really intriguing. Then we have Valley of Alchemists. Now, Valley of Alchemists, first and foremost, has some really, really, really good artwork. So that alone looks really, really good. But it's a very, very lightweight, family weight game for people who don't play a lot of board games, that you're trying to maybe get into board games. It's very good, as from what I can tell and from what some of the reviews were saying, is it's a very good gateway game. And it's very straightforward, very fast turns where you're using these things that you have to match different colors or mix different colors and create potions to create better potions to then sell. And it seems like it has a very straightforward concept, very straightforward gameplay, very simple. Something you could break out with kids, break out with mom and dad or something. People who don't play games, or maybe don't want a very long game or very complicated game. Next up is Too Many Bones Undertow. Now, I've never played Too Many Bones. I actually meant to demo it at Gen Con because they had a demo copy up, but I wound up just not having the time. Now, this is an expandalone where you could buy it and play it all by itself, or you could buy it and mix it with the original Too Many Bones, and they all mix perfectly fine. Now, I wasn't really able to, where I don't know what the base game is. This one, I wasn't able to get a whole lot of information about what this adds to it. It just seems like it adds more stuff. And then with that, it's a dice building RPG with like these skill trees. So depending, I guess, how you're doing, you're going to use these dice that you roll to level up your character, and then dungeon delve and all this stuff. Sorry, there's not a whole lot of information, but where I've never actually played the first one, it was really difficult for me to figure out, okay, well, what exactly does this cover? But I did want to throw this out there for anybody who has Too Many Bones and wants more Too Many Bones. So if you're that person or those people, definitely check this one out. And lastly on my list is Defend Neo Tokyo. Now, I am a big mecha fan. Neon Genesis Evangelion is my favorite anime of all time, and I like a lot of mecha. Gurren Lagann's another one of my favorites. I wasn't a huge fan of Gundam Wing, but I digress. This one, you're building a mecha and you're fighting kaiju. basically what it is. And the board is really cool. It's split into, I think it's 4 different segments. So you have your chassis, which is your chest and head, and then you have your left arm, your right arm, I had that backwards, my other left arm, my other right arm, and then your legs. And you're going to be building your mech, and then you're going to take that mech and then take it into battle, and you're fighting back all these kaiju. And it's got a very, like, you know, where something like Eldritch Horror is a globe-trotting, you're going around the world, you're fighting something in Tunguska, and then you need to come over here in South America and do this, and you're having to come over here. It's kind of got that feel, but instead it's a city, so you're running throughout different districts of the city trying to fight off these kaiju. And then once you've killed all of the kaiju or reached so many, you know, points or killed so many of them, then you have to fight the final boss. So after you've gotten maimed and your, you know, butt handed to you, then now you have to fight the boss. And so you have different damages on different pieces, and then power allocation. You need power to this and this and this. It looks outstanding, and me being a fan of mecha to begin with, this one definitely was a shoo-in for this list. And that is my list for this week. So I'll have a link to all of these down in the description as well if you want to check those out. But if I have to choose a winner of this week, it has got to be the Defend Neo Tokyo. That one looks outstanding. Definitely, I may consider, money permitting, be backing that one as well. But because I like mecha, and I like the fact that you get to customize your mech. So every time you play, maybe you'll use these arms instead of this arm, or maybe just one of these arms, or maybe these legs. You get to mix and match, and I think that's really cool. But anyways, if you like this show, you like my channel in general, any support definitely is appreciated. I have a link up here in the cards here and down in the description to my Patreon and to my tip jar if you would like to support the show. Any little bit of help definitely is appreciated. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time in the quarantine.